Why, it's not December. That can only mean one thing. Christmas!
The filming Daniel.
Hey, gang, did I tell you I love Christmas? Well, I do. I love Christmas! The absolute best time of the year. The season of joy. The season of merry. The season of joyly merry. If I can make love to Christmas, consume its power so I can become Christmas, I wouldn't because that's gross, but other way, I love Christmas so much. So of course I have to make Christmas videos to return to this YouTube channel. I know, very, very long time since I did videos again, but at least this time, it's now Christmas time. I got a new staff, or a cane, I got top hats, and look, guess you can call me the Christmas showman. Yeah, forget about you, Hugh. For now, we're going to be talking about a Christmas classic. A Christmas classic that always makes children so happy that's kind of forgettable. What the hell? Oh, wait a minute, this isn't the Christmas classic I imagined. Was this weird eyeballs? What the hell am I watching? Okay, let's tear it down. But anyway, since I'm now at Christmas time and it's now time to do some Christmas reviews, I'm going to try my best to do Christmas reviews, starting with the 2004 classic that may scar a lot of people when they realise that it's made by motion capture, The Polar Express. So, the plot of The Polar Express, what is it? Well, The Polar Express follows a young boy who has a bit of doubt about whether or not Santa really exists and if he believes in the spirit of the season. But his luck is going to happen because outside of his front door comes in the Polar Express, a train that destinates itself to going to the North Pole to visit the old jolly old Saint Nick himself. The boy meets a conductor and gets onto the train. And now the movie basically follows the boy as he makes friends with these other children and still tries to believe if he has the magic of the season. All while looking like they have been demonted robots and having very creepy motion capture and not that much story like when they go on to this adventure. Now, I can't remember exactly what I felt like when I watched The Polar Express for the first time. I know I've seen it like a few times when I was like a toddler, like at the age of 4 or 5 or something. I don't know how old I was when I first watched The Polar Express, but I thought it was really good. I thought it was like at the same level of enjoyment that a young kid would love to watch it. So for a Christmas special, I definitely think that The Polar Express should be watched again and reviewed, as this is apparently a mixed reviewed Christmas classic, as you may seem. So I was wondering, wow, well, surely it's got to be as good as I remember it. I mean, I had a few fun memories. I remember the hot chocolate part. I remember the North Pole bits. I've grown to love the idea of motion capture. And this movie is directed by Back to the Future director himself, Robert Zemeckis, and stars Woody the Cowboy himself, Tom Hanks. And I have seen quite a few Robert Zemeckis, Tom Hanks movies that they work together on that are definitely great masterpieces of cinema. Films like Castaway and, of course, Forrest Gump. I've not seen the new Pinocchio yet, but Tom Hanks and Robert Zemeckis seem to make a good team, so let's see what they can bring to the table with motion capture animation, and what is eventually is supposed to be based off a picture book, which is short, so how are they going to extend it to a runtime? Well, I finally watched The Polar Express, and after watching it, what do I think of it? Wow, this is... I'm going to have to say it wasn't that great of a movie. yeah, despite it praised like a masterpiece, I do have to admit that it's also a very boring and uneventful movie. Now, let me talk about what I do like about the movie. First off, while not everything in the animation works, when something does work, it really works, especially with the props and the cinematography. I mean, some of these shots are just gorgeous to look at. I mean, when the train is on the tracks, when it goes up the mountain, and the look of the train itself on the outside looks gorgeous as well. When they go inside, it looks like a very comfy kind of place where you could just sit around and drink some nice hot chocolate while going through a roaring fire. The look of the train itself and the landscape shots were amazing. The score was spectacular as well, very enchanted, and felt like a very Christmassy kind of score that you would expect. The characters, well, we'll have to get to that when we get to the problems, but I will admit that the characters that definitely steal the movie have to be the ones played by Tom Hanks. You see, this movie was made in the form of motion capture, where you basically put someone in a mocap suit and they move around and you create animation that syncs in with the movements of the characters and the way that they talk. Many parts of the motion capture are very iffy, but I will admit that the ones that were played by Tom Hanks were really good. That includes, like, the movement of the little boy, the conductor, the weird hobo at the top of the train, Santa Claus, the young boy's father, and the young boy as an adult who narrates the movie. All these characters are definitely well advertised and well performed by the man himself, Mr. Hanks. Although I will say that if you look at the conductor in this shot, he kind of looks like Tom Hanks's character in The Green Mile, so there will be a few parts where he kind of looks like Tom Hanks' characters, but the fact that there's multiple characters played by the same actor definitely give hints to the little boy's development, because there is a theory that this could all be a dream. I mean, we later find out it's not really a dream, but it could be kind of metaphors with the Santa belief that the little boy performs. Like, the conductor is really a blast from the past for the boy trying to get his belief back up, or else he'll end up like the mysterious hobo for not believing in the spirit of Santa Claus. So they're definitely great metaphors for the little boy's development, and Tom Hanks performs them very well. Sure, it's not as good as animated characters as Woody, but for Tom Hanks, he did really good. He did what he needed to do. And one of the biggest interesting facts about the behind-the-scenes making of this movie is that the movie was originally meant to have Tom Hanks as every character. Like, every single character, to give even more metaphor about the meaning of Christmas and how this could be a dream. But Zemeckis, being the good director he is, saw that Tom Hanks was getting exhausted, so he narrowed it down to only a few characters. Which, you know, is nice because, you know, Robert and Tom definitely work together. So, of course, Robert had to be the really kind of director. So, I give props to that. And when you do realise which is Tom Hanks, you do kind of notice the more Tom Hankisms of the characters. But overall, he did pretty good. I don't think it's as his best, but he did everything he needed to do. So, props to you, Tom. But honestly, I think the most significant part of this film is its ending. And no, I'm not trying to be sarcastically harsh because of my overall thoughts. What I really like about the ending is that the story that could have happened could have still fitted in with this ending, because the ending definitely feels like the ending that the film could have gotten, because it's very enchanted. When we finally get to Christmas morning, everything feels so satisfying. It has the best score, it has the best character development in that ending. I definitely think the ending is very, very good. As for the rest of the movie, yeah, I do have to have my elephant in the room, because despite how good some parts of the film is, most of the movie I didn't like. Do I hate it? No. Are there some clever bits? Absolutely. But I thought the movie I was going to watch for this review was going to be more character developed, more significant, and much more creative. There is a bit of creativity, but for what I really wanted, and from what I got, I just think it's really lacking. So, with that said, let's get to the problems I had with the film. What is the first problem I had with the movie? What is my biggest problem with the movie? Well, it's all due to one keyword. Can you guess what the keyword is? It starts with P, and it's plot. There's barely any plot. Yeah, the story is non-existo. Why? Because the movie seems to be more focused on getting us into the conflict than the story and the characters, because many things happen in the movie that involves, like, the train going off course, or there's, like, conflicts, or different, like, climaxes of whatever, that really don't make sense in the context of the story, and are just shoehorned in just to make the movie look nice. And don't get me wrong, they looked cool, they looked fun, especially this one scene where the train ends up on the ice by accident and they're trying to get away from the ice before the ice cracks and it falls into the water. But in the context of the story, it just feels shoehorned in. Like, why are we focusing on that? I mean, many things don't even need to be focused on, because they give non-characters very forced scenes of props coming and going, and what I mean by that is that there's a whole scene where the main girl's ticket gets lost because the boy accidentally loses it out the window, and I'm not kidding. We follow this ticket and its journey from getting off the train to getting back on the train through the mountains and through the woods, and this scene focusing on this ticket goes on for 2 minutes. And I'm like, why are we wasting time focusing on this ticket when we could be more involved in, like, finding more about the train? Because when we go inside the train, it looks cool, but because the story has barely any develop, we don't get time to go through the whole thing. It's mainly just this one room, the top of the roof, the back room, and the engineer room. There could have been more, honestly. There really could have been more. So because the story mainly focuses on the conflicts and not much on the characters, the film ends up becoming boring because we're not giving enough time to be able to get involved with the characters. And speaking of them, the characters, for the most part, are pretty unnoticeable. I mean, it was pretty cool seeing the conductor and Santa Claus and all the other characters played by Tom Hanks interacting with the children, but the children themselves are kind of the definition of forgettable. I mean, every single child, while having some redeeming qualities to them, which I do like, because they can come off as very kind many times, they also have some pretty underwhelming development. Like, we have the main character, the hero boy of the movie, which, I'm not even kidding, is his actual name. That's kind of weird. His character doesn't really have much besides him being told throughout the movie that you are a bad kid for not believing in the spirit of Santa. And that's about it. He's just talking about, oh, I believe. There's no other redeeming qualities to this character, despite helping the other kids a few times, but there really could have been more to his character, despite the whole disbelief he has in Santa Claus. And honestly, I don't get why he should be pressured into believing Santa Claus. I mean, honestly, I think believing in Santa Claus can be a good thing until you realize the true nature of Santa Claus. But if they don't believe it, then you really shouldn't be forcing them, because they have their own decisions to question the world. But the movie's just pressuring him, so it's not exactly a good message. I do kind of question, like, okay, maybe you don't need to constantly throw this belief at him, because children can have their own beliefs, so if you say they're a bad person, that's really going to compromise and kind of distort the whole thing. And the hero boy is not the only one who is kind of downgraded and had potential. There's also the hero girl of the movie, who is also the same name as what I just called it. Seriously, they couldn't think of real names for these children, so they just gave them hero person's name. Back to the girl. She doesn't have much potential either. She's just nice, and that's about it. She doesn't really have much of a character to her, and whenever the film wants to get across her character, it's just a little tiny bit. Like, she has feelings of not being able to lead a few things or make decisions, like she's not sure about decisions, but the film completely negates those facts. Same goes for the younger kid. He could have had a very interesting character arc. And at one point it was going somewhere, but then the fact that it wasn't brought up earlier on, and it was brought to a screeching halt for no reason, just makes it even more underwhelming. And I felt no chemistry between these children. They barely have time to talk with each other when they first meet. They only have one sentence, so their time together doesn't get much attention. They spend many parts of the movie apart from each other, and the conflicts they went in, they're just like saying, oh my god, this is happening, without like trying to help each other with a few things. The geeky kid is really annoying. I mean, many times I was like, oh my god, shut up a few times. I mean, there was one part that did make me laugh, but other times I was just cringing at his voice. I mean, Eddie Deason, man, what, will you calm down a little bit? And yeah, I do have to talk about the elephant in the room. The motion capture. Now, like I said, for Tom Hanks' characters, they did pretty good. The kids, however, wow, I did not like a lot of the character looks in this movie. I mean, look when the boy first wakes up for the first time. I mean, not for the first time, but wakes up when his parents are in the room.
Magic.
Okay, that was kind of weird. That was pretty Night Fair fuel. I don't really like that, so let's just do that. Let's move on to the next scene. Like, oh, here's the first time when the boy and the girl meet up, and... Seriously, what is with her look? Why is her teeth coming out? Okay, well, Jesus Christ. Surely they can't be a much creepier person than that. Seriously, what is with the look of the kids in this movie? They're freaking terrifying. I know it's 2004, but I mean, it's just, I don't know, just, they really don't look off. I mean, motion capture movies, they get a bit better, especially in Robert Zemeckis' next Christmas movie, A Christmas Carol, which I plan to make a video about very soon. But the looks for now just don't really have a keen eye on us. Plus, it doesn't really help that some of the kids in the movie are played by grown adults, which just adds to kind of a creepy factor. I mean, Eddie Deason, he puts on this high-pitched voice which kind of looks, and the woman who plays the hero girl pitches up her voice a little bit more. I mean, it was pretty, it gets better, but for now, just when she first comes on screen, nah. Plus, the different messages that it's trying to tell, doesn't really have a keen eye on it either, because they don't get much development, because, you know, they're trying to put as much conflict as possible without giving any character development whatsoever, and when the movie does want to get across a message, it's done in a very preachy and patronizing way, where they just, like, explain it multiple times, and it just got on my nerves and a bit grating. You gotta respect the children's intelligence. So, yeah, this video has been pretty underwhelming because I find it hard to talk about what I don't really like in the Polar Express, but honestly, the movie is just pretty forgettable, and honestly, I don't understand why, as the idea is a very unique idea. But because the movie puts more conflict than drama, it's handled in a very messy and boring direction. The characters are forgettable, the look of them are pretty horrendous, the messages are preachy and very false, and there's no ideas being taken advantage of when it comes to the Polar Express itself, or the character development. Plus the pacing is really bad. I mean, half of the movie is not even on the Polar Express. I mean, when they're not on the Polar Express, that could have been saved for the third act. Make the first two acts about character development on the Polar Express. The movie is called The Polar Express. Make it more focused on the Polar Express. Okay, so this is not a very good film. I mean, it's not bad, but I just feel like it could have been so much better. Because, like I said, the ending felt like an ending for an entirely different movie, and it was handled great. The characters get their good closures, and there's great music, animation, and direction to take from what the ending has left resolved. But I still gotta sit through long, ticket runs, and ice obstacles, and very creepy faces on the characters. to be honest, I hope somebody remakes this movie, because it could have had potential. I know a lot of people are going to say, but it's a kid's movie, leave it alone. But as many critics told you before, using the phrase "is a kid's movie" is not a good excuse for a film to feel dull. So, I don't know, this video's been pretty underwhelming because I find it hard to talk about what I don't like. So overall, I'm just going to leave it like that. Overall, this was a pretty disappointing movie, and it could have been better, so much better. So overall, it's a 2 out of 5. It's pretty forgettable. And honestly, I think you should just skip it this Christmas. Go watch A Christmas Carol. Go watch the Grinch movies. Go watch Home Alone. Go watch Arthur Christmas, which I just recently watched earlier, and I still love that movie. Just, yeah, try to ignore the Polar Express. And the question is, if the Polar Express is this forgettable, why has it become a Christmas classic to some people? Well, I guess it's one of the first things they think of when they think of Christmas. They think of the Polar Express. They think about the original picture book, which I haven't read. So there's a few things. But again, this movie could have been so much better. So what do you think of the Polar Express? Do you like it? Do you hate it? And what's your favourite Robert Zemeckis film? Let me know in the comments section below. And I do hope to get some more Christmas reviews. It's just getting started. I hope to watch more Christmas movies and review them. So anyway, I'm Daniel reviewing movies, TV shows, and doing videos, and becoming the Christmas showman himself, known as the Filming Daniel, or Daniel Vickers. Till then, peace out, man! It's just getting started. La 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 la, that's weird. Okay, bye bye. That was stupid.